Today we have ticket number 13299 and it's a PlayStation 5 that doesn't have an actual HDMI port at all. As you can see down there, it's completely missing. It's missing the small ceramic cap as well that just goes beneath the HDMI port, as well as the fact on the back we're missing another capacitor and a diode. This was mailed in by a customer and said, pretty much, can you replace all of those components? Now, once I've put all of those components on, I can give it a test in the test bench PS5 we have, just to ensure that we definitely get an output. Hopefully, we can fix it and have another happy customer. Let's take it under the scope and inspect the damage. Okay, what do we have? So yeah, we just have remnants of flux left over, missing that cap as I stated, but we don't seem to have any rip traces, so it should be a fairly straightforward job. How's the retimer looking? The retimer looks okay, it looks untouched. And again, on the back, we just seem to be missing components. How is this area looking? Just giving it a quick general inspection below where they've worked to ensure that we're not missing any components here before I start the job. All looks okay, to be honest. Quite a bit of flux in and around where the LAN port is, so we'll have to clean that up as well. Is this flux still... Yeah, look. This flux is still goopy. Don't know what flux that is, but here we have the missing components, the diode and the cap. First things first, I'm just going to get rid of all elements of solder. So the solder that we have in the ground holes over on this side, as well as the solder that we have on the pads, and clear up all the flux, etc. And give ourselves a clean slate to work from is going to be the best bet. Using our hot air gun underneath the board from this angle, we'll melt whatever solder we have. And I'm going to come in with my solder sucker and clear out the holes. I have no idea what solder they've used either. The little diode resistor in the top left and the cap just above it all look okay as well. There we go. So now that this is molten, oh, I got a 2-in-1. This is the first time I've ever had a 2-in-1. Would you look at that? Lovely jubbly. And then we'll come over here and just make sure these are clear out as well. There it is. That's fine. Now we'll add a little bit of our own flux. Good measure. Just over the pads. And do you know what? I'm actually going to go over these with a bit of leaded solder again because I don't know what solder they've used. It looks like factory, to be honest, so it should be okay, but I'd rather do that than rip the pads potentially. Now we're coming with the wick. Beautiful. Now we clean up. I spray about alcohol as well, just to give ourselves the clearest picture we can. There we go, looks good. Same story on the back of the board, to be honest. A little bit of dirt and stuff there. I'm just going to scrape away the solder that we have here. Again, run over it with a little bit leaded. And then just get rid. You know the drill, cotton swab. IPA as well. Looks like maybe the board has suffered a little bit of burn damage on the back. Just clearing the flux off of that cap that was near the LAN port as well. Now we have our fresh slate. I can do this a little bit backwards, so I'm gonna put these components on now. But the cap that's on the other side of this port, I'm gonna put on after I put the port on. So we just come in here with some leaded solder. Tin up the pads. There we go, nice. Just zoom in quickly, make sure we're all good. Yeah, we're fine. I have the exact same board model here with me, a 010. We just transfer components across. Here's the diode. Here's the little cap. These components are tiny, by the way. Okay. Now there should be enough flux in here that I just hover the heat and watch them bounce into place. Both of them. There goes one. Cap might need a bit of a helping hand. I'm just going to try a little bit more flux first. Doesn't seem to like it, does it? So we're going to help this little cap on its way. And just make sure we give the diode a little prod. That's okay. That's okay as well. Okay, all right. Maybe if I can just put a tiny bit of flux here. A little bit of solder on the end of my tip. Doesn't necessarily have to be done, but I'm just seeing it under the scope. There we go. Just put a little blob of solder there to secure it. Again, I think we could have got away with it anyway. Okay, we're going to apply some flux now. There we go. And now we just flood those holes. There we go, nicely done. Clear up all of this flux because we do not need that much flux. There we go, lovely jubbly. Grab our PS5 port. Now it's actually going to be a tiny bit of flux here and around here. And same just there. Not too much. And we're going to drop the port into place and then go over the pins afterwards. Port has been dropped on. As you can see, the solder isn't going directly over the pins. The pins will most probably be solid here, but I prefer, again, as I always say, just to go over them. So a little bit of flux. Come in with the soldering iron with no solder on, because there is plenty here. We'll just touch on those pins to make sure that the solder flows over. There we go. And now this is the little cap that we have to replace. Here we are, there's that little cap. Just put it on there, drop some flux. I'm just going to go back and forth real quick. There we go, pop. See that? Enough so that we don't singe the plastic, as you can see. Nice quick action there. And now we just clean up, cotton swab, get rid of all that flux that we have. Ensure that we don't have any flux in the port, or try and get as much flux out of the port as we can. And it's almost looking like jobs are good in. You have to be super careful with holding the heat there too long, because if you do, you're going to singe the plastic. And whilst plastic isn't conductive, it can mess the pins up, and you can't really see what you're doing when you have melted plastic everywhere. Quick recap then. See what I did there? So this port has been swapped out, and you can see the solder in the ground holes. Look at that, looking really, really good on both sides. Every single one of those pins looks solid. We've put a capacitor just there. I'm just now adding a tiny bit of flux on the back, so we can make sure these are okay, which, to be honest, they look okay. Again, getting rid of all the flux that we can. There we are, looking nice and tidy on the back. And that's the LAN port that had all the flux on at the start. So we're looking okay. Let's head on over to the test bench and see if we get a display. Hopefully we do. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. I've plugged the power in. HDMI cable is in. Do we get power? Yes, we do. We have a blue light. That's good. Does it turn to a white light? And when it does, do we have a display? White light. There we go. We have a display. Lovely. Let's give the cable a little wiggle test. You can see that I don't know if you can see actually that I'm wiggling it quite a bit, and no flickering, nothing. Good stuff. There we have the PlayStation logo. I've just restarted the PS5. It did go into safe mode originally, and now we see the PS5 logo. 3 beeps. Console wasn't turned off properly. There we go. All good. I'll get in contact with the customer to tell them that their repair is completed. We'll wait for payment, and then we'll get the console sent back to the customer. A little bit different to a standard HDMI port swap. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.